Hello, thanks for joining me. So once again, we're doing a mega pickups video here. I've been doing some videos about my PlayStation 4 here recently. I went over my whole PlayStation 4 collection and I realized that now is a really great time to pick up PlayStation 4 games cheaply, right? These are just games I'm looking for, basically $10 to $20 used games. These are things that I didn't pick up like new when they were contemporary, but now that basically some of the stuff's getting discounted, just essentially for collection's sake, for fear of missing out. I did a little video about that. So for starters, I had mentioned this is a PlayStation Vita game, the only PS Vita game that I'll be showing off. In my last video that I had picked up Muv-Luv, and I had Muv-Luv Alternative on the way. I just wanted you guys to see. Here it is. I did physically get it in the mail. I haven't opened this, haven't started playing the Muv-Luv games yet. The third game, I guess this is a trilogy, apparently is available on Steam, localized in English. So I don't think you can play the whole game in English on the Vita, but I really wanted to get the two versions that were physically released for the Vita because I just thought that was so cool. And if I enjoy them, I will definitely pick up the third one on Steam so that I can play that. But what I ended up doing, I was out today, was in physical proximity to a GameStop that I don't normally visit. I'm not really in that area very often. So I figured, you know what, let me stop by, see what they have. I ended up picking up 4 games, and the total was about $40. So if you average this out, this was basically $10 each, which is amazing. Space Hulk. You guys probably 99% of you don't care about Space Hulk, but I had mentioned before, really enjoyed playing this tabletop game in the late 80s, early 90s with my buddy, one buddy in particular, who would play Warhammer, and we would play Space Hulk together. We are currently playing Space Hulk Tactics, which I spoke about in a previous video, and I'm loving that. We just played it again yesterday, and I really had fun with it. Alright. So this, I was like, well, what is this if it's not, like, 'cause Space Hulk Tactics seems to be pretty much an adaptation of the board game. This, I think, is also an adaptation of the board game. Don't really quote me on that because all I did was really read the back, but it seems like kind of a tactical strategy gameplay based on Space Hulk. So I guess there's like some different flavors of Space Hulk adaptations out there, which I think is amazing. That's why I picked this up. I'm like, sure, I'll check that out for, for $10. These technically were really like less than $10. And I say these because I also picked up Space Hulk Ascension. I think these are they're by the same publisher at the very least, Hoplite Research, it seems like. So I assume these are the same, developer and everything. I don't know if one counts as like a sequel or an expansion or something like that. I literally just saw these on the shelf and they were pretty cheap, so I grabbed them. I'll check them out. Next up, I grabbed, at the same time, Valkyrie Chronicles 4. Now, this is definitely going directly onto a pile of shame. Valkyrie Chronicles is one of those series that is starting to be a contender for, games in, like, series that I have the most games for, right? And this is series that I have the most games for that I haven't played. I have Valkyrie Chronicles 1. And then I kind of forget how it worked. They switched it over to the PSP at one point, so I think I've got Valkyrie Chronicles 1, and then is it 2 that was on PSP, or 3 that was on PSP? I don't really know, but I think I have Valkyrie Chronicles 1, 2, 3, and then this now. Or maybe I'm missing one if they didn't, like, actually localize it here, I don't really remember. But anyway, I at least have the first one, I have either 2 or 3, and now I've got 4, so there it is. It is a series that I really want to play sometime. It seems up my alley. Everything I've heard about these games seem pretty good. Again, kind of tactical strategy combat. Interesting sort of cel-shaded-ish, painterly art style. Anime character designs. Seems like there's character interactions. They seem really cool. This is a game that I wasn't sure if I really wanted, but again, I saw it, it was cheap, it was available, and I was like, DotHack, GU, last Recode. Now, what I think was a little bit of a bummer about this is, there were originally there were like 4, I think, DotHack games on the PlayStation 2, and I even started playing the first one, but I think I've told this story before. I had just played Final Fantasy X, and going from Final Fantasy X to DotHack was like really hard. I felt like somebody punched me in the face, and then I had to play a video game. It was not as much fun. So I never really got that series, and I don't actually know if they've redone that series and sort of done a compilation like this. Anyway, this is the DotHack GU games. I believe that's a different series. I don't know a whole lot about it. What I do know is that DotHack was sort of one of the original kind of isekai, like, online MMO anime, basically. I don't know exactly like what sort of a media mix that it was, but I remember watching DotHack Sign, which has amazing music, and it's just really good. I really like it for the whole concept and everything. Suffice to say, I believe that this was recommended to me by Mix Zero in one of my previous videos, where I was asking for you guys, hey, like, recommend me some PS4 games that you think I might like. So anyway, I grabbed it. I don't think I'm gonna regret having this on my shelf, and hopefully checking it out sometime. I'd like to see what that's all about. The rest of this stuff here was from 2 separate GameStops that I hit when I basically was going back to a GameStop because I had picked up Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, and they didn't give me the disc for it. So I wanted to get the disc. While I was there, I was looking at the shelf, and the guy was like, hey, just an FYI, we're having a sale right now. If you get 5 games that are $20 or less that are used, you can get them for $50, which is like $10 per game. I was like, oh, interesting. And that was too tempting, I guess, for me to hold back from getting some games that, honestly, like, in retrospect here, or even I think I knew when I was getting them, I was like, can I fully justify getting these games? I got a little carried away. But I will talk about each and every one of them and why I got them. The first is a PlayStation Hits version of Earth Defense Force 4.1, The Shadow of New Despair. Earth Defense Force, these have always been super fun ever since, I want to say, the Earth Defense Force that was released here for the Xbox 360, is that right? I definitely played that. Unfortunately, they did sort of have a Western studio develop one of the games in the series, and I think I tried that out at one point, and I was like, it really just didn't seem to capture what was fun about these games, which is that they're, a little just low budget kind of, D3, D3 publisher. There's a ton of names on here, published by Xseed, and Marvelous. So again, I don't really know exactly what the development is on this, but I'm pretty sure like D3's publisher on these. I'm pretty sure, I even think that these have come out as like simple series games in Japan. Don't quote me on that, maybe I'll look it up. But anyway, it's just super fun. Like it's a cheesy, like, fighting tons and tons of aliens, kind of inspired by like old science fiction movies from like probably the 50s and 60s and stuff, maybe 40s, 50s, I don't really know. Kind of like those black and white sci-fi movies with giant ants and flying saucers and stuff like that, right? Like, that's all in here. And it's kind of got that like Japanese low budget developer feeling to it. They're super fun though. They're actually like they're just very enjoyable. So I wanted to get this. I'd wanted to get this kind of back when this was new. It was kind of an early PlayStation 4 game, which I think is why there's a greatest hits version. I did ask if they had a non-greatest hits version, and they didn't. I had actually passed this up in a previous sale, but this time around I was like, you know what, let me just go ahead and get this. From a collecting standpoint, greatest hits versions actually aren't that bad. Sometimes they're actually like of a more limited quantity than the non-greatest hits versions, if you care about that, right? But I just would sort of prefer to have all blue cases on my shelf, but this is fine. I grabbed Technomancer. Now, this actually and Technomancer both were $10 games at GameStop anyway. I could have gotten these for $10 without that sale. But what I realized is if I want these and I pick them up with these other games that are worth like $20, I'll be getting $10 off the $20 games, and that's worth it, right? So, Technomancer. I have heard this is not a great game. It's one of those games that looked pretty cool. It is by Focus, which I want to say is the developer that did the Space Hulk Tactics game that I'm playing, but I don't know for certain. And it's published by Maximum Games, which, you know, is kind of like a B-tier publisher. All of these things kind of intrigue me when, like, basically, I don't know, B-tier developers and B-tier publishers are getting together and putting out, like, B-tier games that might be worth playing, right? Like, that have good things about them, even if they're not great. So everything that I've read and seen about this seems to indicate that this is one of those games that maybe has good things about it, but just isn't great. And it looks cool. Like, it's got a cool style. It's like basically a science fiction or RPG, right? An RPG, I sort of say in like the maybe more of the modern sense of like I want to say maybe it's a little Knights of the Old Republic inspired, something like that, but don't quote me on that. I'm not really familiar with what the gameplay is like on this, but it's like, it's a sort of a modern sci-fi RPG, and it seemed interesting. I've been wanting to check that out for a while. $10 is the right price to check that out at. Tales of Zestria. More pile of shame stuff. So this is sort of getting into that, well, I needed a game to flesh out my stack of games, right? I don't think you can really go wrong with the Tales of series, though. A lot of people seem to like it. It is an RPG. They're kind of action RPGs. They seem pretty cool. I watched one of my friends play like a bunch of the GameCube one there. What was that? Tales of... I don't remember. Anyway. But I haven't really played any of these myself. I have 2 Tales of games that I got specifically because I'm like, let me check out a Tales of game and see if I like them. And now I have a 3rd Tales of game, and I haven't even tried them out yet. So, anyway, like I said though, I don't feel like I can really go wrong with this. I think when I start playing some Tales of games, I'm probably really going to like them. So, that's why I got this for $10. Next up, we have Fate, Excella Link. So this is another XSEED published game from Marvelous. It's another Fate game, right? I have talked about Fate at length before. I'm still salty that the original Fate visual novel has never been localized, and yet all of the spin-offs and everything have been localized here, but we've never actually gotten the original story. I honestly sort of promised myself that I wasn't going to get more Fate stuff until I at least tried out the visual novel. But again, this was there, and I was like, I looked stuff up about it. People seem to say this was pretty cool. I think this is just supposed to be kind of an action game. But I have Fate, God, what was it called? Something on the PSP. And, you know, I threw that in at one point and checked it out a little bit, and it seemed interesting. The world seems really cool. I like Tsukihime and stuff like that, which, the original story was written by the same person, and so, anyway, I grabbed this. Trials of Mana, one of the Mana games. So, again, a game series that I'm not super familiar with. This originated, I think, on the Super Nintendo. My buddy had Legend of Mana, was it, on the Super Nintendo. It may also have ties to the Game Boy, I'm not fully sure. But at any rate, this seems like a newish like Mana game, and I was like, you know what, I'll try that. It's like an action RPG, and I'm like, that might be right up my alley these days. So, Square Enix, fairly beloved series. I seem to think that this is one of their, like, maybe more B-tier series, right? Like, it's got some unique things about it, maybe that don't jive with everybody, but I want to check it out. It's going to be kind of cool. Dragon Quest Builders 2. I have been playing Dragon Quest 11, and I am loving that. It's really nostalgic, even though I don't have a whole lot of experience or nostalgia with the Dragon Quest series itself. I did play the original Dragon Warrior here on the NES back when I was like 13, 14, right? You know, I think Dragon Quest has been hugely influential on all Japanese RPGs, certainly, since the original Dragon Quest and beyond. Playing Dragon Quest 11 is actually like it's hitting that nostalgia for me with like just what those really traditional RPGs used to be like, with a lot of modern quality of life sort of improvements, and like the environments are really pretty, the art style is really fun, it's all that Akira Toriyama stuff, and it's super cool. So because I'm enjoying that so much, I figured I would check out Builders. I did try out a demo for this at one point, and I was kind of like, I don't know. But yeah, you know, Dragon Quest Builders 2 here was there for $10, and I was like, you know what? I'll give that a shot. I do like the Dragon Quest world at this point, especially, you know, once I finish 11, maybe this will be another hit of Dragon Quest for me. Next up, I grabbed, there's a little bit of story behind this, Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth, Hacker's Memory. Now, this is, I believe, a sequel to just Digimon Cyber Sleuth. And again, this is one of those things where I'm like, don't know a whole lot about this. I was not a huge Digimon fan back in the day. I did watch the cartoon a few times, though. I actually remember always kind of enjoying the character designs and monster designs from Digimon, especially in comparison to things like Pokemon or Monster Rancher, which I actually like. So once I started thinking about that, I was like, you know, like the Digimon universe is actually probably up my alley. And looking at the back of this too, I looked up some reviews and things like that. It seems like it's like an adventure RPG-ish game. You can actually, you know, discover and train Digimon in it, which is pretty cool. And everyone is just like, yeah, these are super cool. Like they were saying, like maybe it has like a little bit more of an adult spin on it. Maybe takes a little bit of inspiration from the Persona series, actually. Which again, I'm not a huge fan of, but once I started thinking about the Digimon universe as being something that I might actually really enjoy, I was like, maybe I'll grab this. Now, what ended up happening is they gave me the disc for Cyber Sleuth, which is the original game in this series, not Hacker's Memory, which is the sequel. So I was kind of like, well, so I called them up and I'm like, hey, do you have the disc for Hacker's Memory? Because you gave me the disc for the original one. And they were like, no. So I was like, oh. So I only spent $10 on this. What I'm thinking about doing is checking eBay, see if maybe I can get a disc-only copy of Hacker's Memory. Maybe that'll be a little cheaper than you know, a full copy with the box and everything. And I'll just pop that in here, and maybe I'll just pick up. Maybe I could get a copy of this. Maybe a box for this without the game. I don't know. I'm gonna see if I can do something where I can like maybe get 2 games out of this one game without spending too much money. We'll see. On that Digimon kick, because I was wondering if they had a copy of the original game, and they're like, well, we've got this one, Digimon World Next Order, and I was like, huh, and I'm like, well, what is this game like? And then I looked into this, and I'm like, this sounds awesome. This is actually a Digimon raising game, right, where it reminded me kind of you know, Monster Rancher or Monster Farm, which I loved those games, right, the ones that I played anyway, and again, I was kind of like, huh, well, maybe if I'm trying out that, maybe I'll try out this too. Again, it was $10. I went a little crazy. I grabbed that. Okay, and now we're down to the last few games here. I grabbed The Witcher. So The Witcher is a series, the first game I got from my buddy for like Christmas one year, I think, way back when it first came out. It was a long time ago now. I remember just watching him play it a little bit on his PC. It was honestly kind of silly. I think at the time Mass Effect was out, and we'd been playing that. And like just looking at the character interactions, you know, where you'd have 2 people talking in Mass Effect, like was really like interesting and compelling, and they would do cool, like a cool camera angle, and like you'd get to see the characters' expressions and stuff like that. And then we would play The Witcher, and you'd have the same thing. There would be like this interaction, but it was so stilted and like lame in comparison. But there was a little bit of good buzz about The Witcher. There was just enough unique things about it that I think it kind of took off. Then, of course, they did The Witcher 2, which I think was maybe in like an Xbox exclusive or something when I had like kind of moved away from Xbox. So I kind of missed out on The Witcher. And so when The Witcher 3 was out, I was sort of like, I've missed out on the Witcher series. Do I really want to play this? But friends that I know that have played this are like, it's really good. Like, you don't have to have played the other ones. Just as a standalone game, it's super interesting. Everyone seems to love it. It has this unique mythology. It's sort of based on, what is this, a book? What is it, like Polish? Or I don't even remember what it is. But it's got its own sort of unique mythology to it. And there's like romance elements to it and stuff like that that are supposed to be pretty good, and it just seems like the story's probably interesting. And I was like, man, for $10, right? The complete edition, this apparently includes all of the DLC. I don't know if there's like a code that isn't going to work or something like that, but if it's on the disc, that's pretty cool. So I grabbed that. And I just got done bad-mouthing this, a few videos ago. Also CD Projekt Red here, but GameStop had just dropped this down to $20 used, and it fell into this sale, and I wanted to grab a stack of games, and I was like, you know what? It's not like I didn't want to check this out at all. I'm just frustrated that it seems like, they really released it when it was so buggy and just in like such a state of unreadiness, I guess. And I'm like, I'm not going to spend any decent money on this, but for $10, I'm like, okay, I'll check it out. It does seem like they're patching it. I'm not sure about like the latest patch, if it's the one where they're like, okay, it's good to play now. But, I do know people who have played this, like, even like buddies of mine, but also just, the buzz on the internet seems to be like, yeah, it's sort of like a 7 or like maybe an 8 out of 10 game. Kind of aside from the bugs, right? So I'm thinking on the PlayStation 4 here, even if I don't pop this in and try it out anytime soon, if I try it in 6 months, that's all the more time for them to have patched the game, and I'm sure I'll get some enjoyment out of it. So again, for $10, I was like, yeah, I'll grab Cyberpunk. I can check that out now whenever I feel like it. And finally, this actually wasn't part of the like 5 for 50 deal that I was doing, but this was like $15, and because I bought all of those games, I had like a $5 off coupon, right? So I got this for $10 also. Persona 5. Now at this point we have Persona 5 Royale, something like that. There's like an updated version of this, plus there's like Strikers, I think, just came out. It's sort of like maybe a Musou version of Persona 5. Again, one of those games that everyone thinks is fantastic. So I'm like, it's worth checking out. It's worth checking out for $10 at the very least. So that is my stack of games. As far as I know, there was almost none of the games, maybe aside from DotHack, in that pile. That were really on my list of games that I would like to get, but I really wanted to see what's available in my local area at the GameStops, it's pretty much sort of like the bottom bargain basement prices that I'm going to be getting PlayStation 4 games for. So from here, I think it's going to be a matter of filling in those little gaps. Mostly, I'm just excited to be playing games again. Hopefully my videos have been up here for servicing my PlayStation 4, so that should be good to game on for years to come here, and just the fact that I can sit down and play Dragon Quest XI and have fun with it is something I haven't been able to do for a long time, I think, just because of losing interest in a lot of things that I enjoy. So I'm very excited. maybe a little overly excited to be hopping back on the video game train. So anyway, I hope that was fun. Let me know what you guys think of my pickups, and I will catch you again in another video next time. Thanks for watching.